Finally, a DC show we can talk about in a longer form breakdown. We're going to be talking about Stargirl Season 3, Episode 1. If you haven't seen it yet, save this video for later and come back to it once you've seen it so we can talk about what happened and, some of the Easter eggs that might be in it for possible setup for future things and stuff that happened in tie-ins. I'm going to start off by saying that I love Stargirl. It is a great show. I really enjoyed it, and I love Season 1 and Season 2. And I love the fact that it's getting Season 3, and I hope it doesn't get canceled, especially with all the DC Warner stuff that's been going on. And I hope it continues because the characters are great, and all the actors are doing a phenomenal job. And I just want more because this is like one of those DC projects that actually works properly, and it doesn't feel cheesy, and it works with new and old. And I'm just a huge fan, and I can't wait to see more of it, because we start off the episode with learning about what each member has been doing since the end of Season 2. We got the Whitmores on a family vacation. Sylvester has been in their house the entire time, taking care of it, fixing it up. We have Rick trying to resurrect Grundy, which I thought was really interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing if Grundy does get resurrected, which I'm sure he will. Beth is living with her parents, where her parents are now being better parents to her, and they're creating a brand new suit for her, which matches the comic book version of her suit as Dr. Midnight. We have Jakeem and Thunderbolt going around town and delivering paper, but the Thunderbolt, I'm 100% sure he's going to be showing up more this season, which is pretty cool, and the Shade's living among them. We have the Crocs across the street being a good family, and I love that Artemis wants to join the GSA and be a hero, and even her mom wants to help her do that, even though she does seem a little disgusted by it, but they're trying to be better people for their daughter, and I'm looking forward to seeing that dynamic, because they're people who are used to being villains, and they're trying to be good. The Whitmores were in Yellowstone, which ties back to the Earth Prime comic book that came out, which was the Magog crossover with Batwoman, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and all that. And this is how Stargirl ties into it, because it's kind of a tie-in, but also not really at the same time. In the comic, Courtney and Pat were going on a hike while Barb and Mike stayed behind, and they go up, and they're going through the mountains, and they run into a mysterious figure whose name is the Needle. He mentions to Pat that he was his arch enemy, and Pat's just really confused, doesn't know who he is, but he finally remembers, and they mention the time vortex, which I think will be important this season. The Needle told Pat that time has been treating Pat a lot better than it has him, and this got me thinking about, well, what's going on, because Courtney even turns around and says, "Pat, how old are you?" So I'm sure that'll come back around, because we know from like one of the pictures in the I can't remember if it was Season 1 or Season 2, showing Pat in this really old-timey photo with Starman. So I'm really curious to see if they'll come back around. But anyway, let's talk about the Needle. So Needle is thanking Pat for sending him to jail, because that's what turned his life around. After the years of being in jail, it kind of reformed him. He wanted to be a better person, live in society, and not be a villain. He ended up meeting his wife, Melanie, who he fell in love with and got married until, sadly, the day she passed away, which is when he went out to find Pat to thank him for what he's done and putting him on the right track to a better life. And then when the Needle leaves, he ends up running into Magog, who tries to recruit him for his evil schemes, but the Needle turns him down because it would be disrespectful to his wife. And then Magog just lets him go because he got what he came for, and that was the Needles. So that was a little tie-in for the show, and I'm interested to seeing if the Needle or the Time Vortex get referenced this season, because I think that'll be big things, because it'll be cool to really see some connection with some of the Arrowverse stuff, even though it's kind of an Arrowverse show and also not in at the same time. I like how we find out that Sylvester woke up in the coffin. He was resurrected by the staff, and it's all because of Courtney's bond to him. And then we also find out that he had been lying to Courtney this entire time. He originally came to find the family because he just thought it was Pat who had the staff that was holding it on for him. But then he finds out that Courtney had bonded with the staff, and he lets Courtney take that staff because he sees the future in her. She's the future for heroes, not him, her. And I like that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing their bond kind of grow, because he's going to be training her. They're going to be kind of both using the staff. So Starman is back, and Stargirl is around. He gets in the day, she gets it after school. And I know this will cause conflict, because there are going to be times where it's not going to work, but I am looking forward to seeing it happen. And on top of it, he also calls Pat his sidekick still, even though he's definitely not a sidekick anymore. And that's definitely going to cause conflict, because Pat is no longer a sidekick. He's a hero in his own right, and I am looking forward to seeing how that gets resolved and the mutual respect that ends up coming out of it. The Gambler is back, and he goes to see Pat to try to make amends with him, and because he's trying to say that he's a better person, because he has a daughter. In the comics, the Gambler has a granddaughter named Becky Sharp, also known as Hazard, and in the show it looks like Becky's going to be his daughter instead, which is a slight change, but probably not that big of a one. I think she'll show up, especially with what happened to the Gambler this episode, because the Gambler goes to Shade to try to make amends. The Shade tells him to fuck right off, and then the Gambler keeps going and ends up going home and just writing a letter to Becky. He finds out that they're being watched as multiple surveillance systems, and he realizes all the JSA family members and the villains are all being surveyed by some mysterious figure. However, when he finds out that he's also being watched, he goes to investigate. As soon as he finds the camera, he gets taken out. His trailer's ripped apart, and it looks like Cindy's the one that killed him, but as a viewer, we all know that's not true. But I'm definitely expecting Yolanda and Rick to doubt it because of how this episode went. With Cindy looking like she's been framed for murdering the gambler, I can totally see that being used to manipulate Becky into thinking that the JSA is the one that murdered her father and her coming after them. However, in the comics, this is similar happens. She joins Injustice Unlimited, ends up going against the JSA, which is now Infinity Inc. Then she's forced to almost kill Mike Dugan as Stripesy. But she turns around and betrays Injustice because she couldn't bring herself to do it. So I don't think she's going to be an inherently bad person, and she'll end up joining the JSA just like how Cindy and Artemis are. Let's talk about the JSA. Courtney tries to have a team meeting while they're in school. The main team's there. Cindy pulls up. Yolanda's not happy about it. Rick's not happy about it. Beth is fine with it because she can see the good in her, even though Cindy is trying. And I like how Artemis goes up and by them and says, "Go team," and everyone kind of looks around like, wait a second, you're not on the team. I'm looking forward to this because it's going to already cause a bunch of conflict in the group because of what Yolanda and Cindy have done to each other and how that's going to keep going. Cindy was pretty evil before, but I feel like she was also manipulated by her father and the ISA. So I am looking forward to seeing how this gets dealt with, because I feel like there's going to be a call to action where Cindy has to be a proper hero, and that's going to get the team's trust. And I love how later they all go to attack this group of muggers. Artemis just comes out of nowhere, fully suited up, and beats the shit out of all of them, and and everyone's just like shocked because she just did that. And then they find out what's going on, but they're still confused. And I like that because I feel like Artemis is going to be like this cool, cocky up spirit that's going to be part of the group, and I'm really looking forward to it because I like the actress playing her, and she plays Artemis well. I really like the attitude she portrays. I am looking forward to seeing that go more, and she's going to have to learn how to work as a team and not be solo. But she looks like she's happy to join the team because of how earlier her mom went to Barb to try to get her on the team in the first place. I'm really glad that the JSA suited up in the first episode because I always hate when they kind of push it and the heroes don't suit up right away. So I'm glad they did, even if it was for something small. And I like how they did their like searching skills to figure out who these guys were. They find out they were part of the gambler's old crew, and of course it all makes them assume that the gambler is a part of it, and they go to him because they think he's still a villain. Even though Courtney is suspicious and thinks that he's good or that he's trying to be better, they go anyways. And that's when everything goes to shit. The gambler gets killed, Cindy gets blamed for it, and his trailer's ripped apart. But if it was Cindy, there's no way Cindy could rip that part of that trailer, and I'm sure that'll be explored next episode. I'm looking forward to it. What do you think of the first episode of Season 3 of Stargirl? Let me know down in the comments, and if there's anything I might have missed, any details? I'm still learning about the JSA, so I'm always open to finding out new things. If you like content just like this, hit the subscribe button for more because I will be doing these weekly. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.